At my sister's wedding, my mother smiled into the microphone and declared that I was gifting Haley and my luxury car a surprise. She said, from her perfect son. 200 people clapped before I could breathe. Then a woman I'd never met stood up and said, "Touch his assets again, and you'll lose yours." The room froze. Cameras caught my mother's face cracking, my sister's eyes flicking between guilt and greed. They thought this was about a car. It wasn't. It was about forged signatures, stolen keys, and a lifetime of quiet theft dressed as love. What they didn't know was this time, I had proof. Before I go on, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by your own family, the kind of betrayal that wears a smile and calls itself love. Because what happened next didn't just expose them. It exposed everything I'd spent years pretending wasn't broken. I grew up in a house where quiet counted as love. Mom Linda didn't like chaos unless she created it. She believed control meant care, that appearance equaled affection. Every Sunday morning, the smell of cinnamon rolls filled the kitchen, but she never baked them for me. They were Haley's favorite. I'd watch my little sister twirl into the room, her hair in loose curls, still half asleep but glowing like she knew the day belonged to her. Mom would hand her the first roll, the warmest one, and turn to me with a distracted smile. "Take a plate, honey," she'd say, already looking past me toward Haley's next request. It wasn't cruelty. It was habit. I learned early, you don't have to shout to disappear. At school, Haley got the creative one label. I got responsible. When she forgot her homework, teachers called home. When I aced an exam, Mom hung the paper on the fridge for a day. Then she replaced it with one of Haley's drawings. She'd laugh. "Yours are impressive, but hers are art." Dad would nod. That was love in our house, approval disguised as comparison. When I turned 17, I started working nights at a grocery store. I told them it was for savings. Truth? It was to feel what earning something on my own meant. The hum of the freezer aisle, the smell of cardboard boxes, the sharp sting of cold on my fingers, it was freedom. In a small, aching way. I sent part of every paycheck home. Mom said it helped the family. Haley used some of it to buy prom shoes. She showed me the photos later, spinning in her dress. "Thanks, Noah," she said. "You saved me." I smiled. I always did. I didn't know it then. But that patterned me saving. Them celebrating wasn't a phase. It was a cycle. College wasn't different. Mom called me every Sunday with updates about Haley. New friends. New followers. New opportunities. When I told her I was double shifting at the hospital to pay tuition, she sighed like I'd inconvenienced her. "You're the strong one," she said. "We worry more about Haley. She's delicate." Delicate. That word followed me for years like a ghost that needed feeding. After graduation, I rented a one-room apartment in Denver and started my therapy practice. Tiny space, secondhand couch, flickering lamp. It felt perfect. Every inch of it was earned. I'd fall asleep on that couch, wake up with notes on my chest, the smell of burnt coffee in the air. I thought success would shift the family math. That being Dr. Carter would mean they'd see me as my own person, not a resource. Instead, Mom started introducing me at parties as our family psychologist. She'd laugh. "He keeps us all sane." People thought she was joking. I knew she wasn't. The first time I lent Haley money, she called crying. Her last semester, tuition mix-up, deadline by Friday. I wired it without hesitation. "Just this once," she promised. Dad said they'd pay me back when things settled. They didn't. Then came, "just until I find a job." Then for the security deposit. Then I need the right outfit for interviews. Each time, Mom's voice wrapped the ask in silk. "You're the stable one, honey." I'd unclench. Pay. Move on. Stability became my brand. At 30, I bought my car a graphite black coupe. Sleek but not flashy, secondhand. Restored piece by piece. Every Sunday, I'd hand wax it while listening to podcasts about boundaries and emotional regulation. Irony wasn't lost on me. That car wasn't about luxury. It was proof I could build something no one else owned, touched, or borrowed. My line in the sand, polished until it gleamed. But boundaries are theory until someone tests them. And my family loved experiments. It started small. Haley texted, "Can I borrow the car for a shoot? My sponsor wants a luxury vibe." I said no insurance. Mom replied seconds later with rolling eye emojis. like a teenager. Dad sent a thumbs up. I still don't know for whom. Next, Mom called my receptionist at the office. I was with a client. She told her, "I'm his assistant, put me through." When I confronted her, she smiled. "I'm helping. You should charge more. By the way, I told a few clients you'd adjust." I changed the office password that night. I kept hoping it would level out, that they'd get bored of needing me. Instead, the asks evolved into expectations. I became less person, more infrastructure. One winter night, I found an envelope in my mailbox addressed to Noah Carter family. Inside, a pre-approved loan offer, interest-free. Address matched my parents' home. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. I didn't know it then, but that envelope was the first flare of the storm. A year before Haley's engagement, the family group chat began to rot. It used to be full of dog photos and Sunday dinner plans. Now it was screenshots of wedding venues and spreadsheets, labeled budget options. Noah? Mom had created them. Haley sent voice notes instead of texts, long sighs wrapped in guilt. "You'll help, right?" "I just want the day to be perfect." I replied once. "I'll come. That's all I can promise." Within minutes, Mom called. Her tone was honey-dipped in acid. "Don't be cruel, Noah. You know we don't have the funds." "That's the point," I said. She exhaled like I'd confessed to murder. "You're a psychologist," she reminded me. "You understand family." "I do," I said quietly. "That's why I'm saying no." Click. Dad tried next. Lunch at a steakhouse so quiet you could hear the ice melt in the water glasses. He leaned forward, fingers steepled. "Your sister will only have one wedding," he said. "It would mean a lot." I said, "Boundaries mean more." He smiled thinly, nodded as if he agreed, then slid the check across the table. He didn't even glance at it. I paid. Out of reflex. Out of conditioning. Out of stupid habit. 2 weeks later, Haley FaceTimed me from a bridal boutique. Golden light, soft music. The kind of place that makes everyone look rich. "This is the one," she said, eyes bright. "If I put a deposit down today, I get the trunk show discount." "Then don't," I said. She blinked, confused. "You're not serious." "I am." Her face froze, then hardened. "You're so stingy." "I'm consistent," I said. She whispered, "Family helps family." I said nothing. She hung up. The next morning, I woke to a family poll. Should Noah be more supportive? Green heart for yes, red X for no. Mom, Dad, Haley, and 2 ants clicked the heart. I typed, "This isn't a democracy." Then I left the chat. It wasn't defiance. It was survival. But I didn't know how far they'd already gone. 3 days later, a letter arrived from my insurance company. It wasn't a bill, it was a confirmation. "Your policy change has been processed. New primary driver, Haley Carter." My signature looked perfect. Too perfect. I called immediately. The agent's tone was cheerful. "Your mother said you were too busy to sign. She authorized it." Something in me clicked. "She didn't," I said. "They voided the change." Added a note. "Owner authorization required in person only." I hung up and sat in the dark for an hour, heart pounding like I'd run a marathon while sitting still. That's when I started saving things. Screenshots, voicemails, emails. Documentation reduces gaslighting. That's what I tell clients. Now it was personal. Then came the invoice. From the wedding planner. "Per your mother's request, the remaining balance will be charged to your account ending in." I stopped reading. I called. The planner apologized. "We were told you were covering it." I said, "You were lied to." That night, I stared at my phone until the light hurt my eyes. Haley posted on Instagram, "Couldn't do this without my family's support, especially my brother." The caption ended with a heart emoji. 2 weeks before the wedding, Dad texted, "At least bring the car to the venue. It'll look nice in photos." I typed one word, "No." He replied, deleted it, typed again, "Don't make this hard." I didn't respond. The night before the wedding, Valerie Brooks Mason's family friend called my office after hours. She didn't leave a message, just a voicemail. "Mr. Carter, this is Valerie Brooks. You don't know me, but I'd like to clarify something. Did you authorize any transfer of ownership for your vehicle as a wedding gift? If not, we should talk." My stomach dropped. Someone had contacted her firm trying to confirm a symbolic asset transfer. My mother's name was on the inquiry. That's when everything aligned. The fake signature. The invoice. The car photo Haley posted with the caption, "Can't wait to drive into my new life." It wasn't a metaphor. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, Denver city lights flickering on the glass. My car parked below the only thing I'd ever fully owned. If they used my name in public again, I'd respond in public. No yelling, no chaos, just clarity. I poured a glass of water, stared at my reflection in it, and whispered to no one. I've spent my whole life teaching people that saying no isn't cruelty. The water trembled in my hand. It's time I believe it myself. The morning of the rehearsal dinner. My phone buzzed before sunrise. Mom, again. She left a voicemail that started with her "I'm calm" tone, the one she used right before detonating. "Noah, sweetheart," she said, dragging out the word until it cracked. "I just need your car keys for the valet. Don't be dramatic about it. It's just for pictures." I deleted the message without replying. By noon, she'd moved to stage 2, guilt by text. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. It's your sister's day. We all sacrifice a little," I typed, then deleted a dozen versions of the same sentence. I've already sacrificed enough. At the office, I tried focusing on clients. A woman sat across from me, shaking. Her family had pressured her into co-signing a loan for her brother. She whispered, "If I say no now, they'll never talk to me again." I told her what I'd been too afraid to tell myself. "Let them be the ones who can't handle your boundary." She nodded, wiping tears. When she left, I closed my eyes. The irony burned. That evening, as I locked up, my receptionist handed me a note. "Your mother called. Said it was urgent." Of course she did. I crumpled the note and tossed it in the trash. But the real escalation wasn't emotional anymore. It was strategic. At 9:17 p.m., my email pinged with a wedding logistics update. Attached was a vendor contract listing Noah Carter, payer. I scrolled to the bottom. Signature field filled in perfectly. Except I hadn't signed a thing. I called the planner. She sounded exhausted. "I'm sorry, Dr. Carter. Your mother said you wanted to surprise your sister. We've already processed the reservation." "Cancel it," I said. "We can't refund everything." "Cancel it." I used the same tone I use with clients. Spiraling, calm, firm, final. She hesitated, then said quietly, "Between us, I had a feeling. She's persuasive." When I hung up, I laughed out loud. It wasn't joy, it was disbelief sharpened into clarity. They weren't asking anymore. They were taking. The next morning, Dad knocked on my door. He still had his old house key, but I'd changed the locks a month earlier. He looked small on my doorstep, holding 2 coffees like a peace offering. "I'm not your enemy," he said before I could speak. "I didn't say you were." He sighed. "Your mother's been under pressure. She's the one applying it." He nodded, pretending to understand. "Can you just do this one thing for her? For your sister?" I looked at the cup in his hand. "That coffee's getting cold." He exhaled, defeated. "You always make everything so clinical." I said, "That's the only way I survive it." He left the cup on the railing and walked away. Later that night, Haley texted me a photo from the wedding venue. Her caption, "Dreams coming true. Thanks to my family." In the background, my car sat under fairy lights, ribbons tied around the mirrors. I hadn't loaned it to anyone. Someone had driven it there. I bolted upright, heart hammering, ran downstairs. The parking spot in front of my building empty. I stared at the concrete for a full minute. Too calm, too quiet. Then I called the police to report the car stolen. Half an hour later, the dispatcher called back. "The vehicle's been returned to your parents' address," she said. Returned. Not recovered. Returned. I drove there in a rideshare, fury humming under my skin. The coupe sat in the driveway, still wearing its ribbons. Mom stood on the porch, phone in hand. "You didn't need to overreact," she said. "Haley just wanted a test run for the photos. You stole my car." She laughed. "Oh, please, don't be dramatic. It's family property." The words hit harder than I expected. Family property. As if my work, my boundaries, my identity were just convenient resources. "Give me the keys," I said. She twirled them on her finger. "You'll ruin the mood if you make a scene." I stepped closer, voice low. "Then you'd better hope I never decide to make one." Her smile faltered. She tossed me the keys. "You've changed," she said softly. "No," I said. I stopped pretending. When I got home, I parked in a garage 2 blocks away and paid for a week up front. If they wanted access, they'd have to earn it. But the war wasn't over. It was evolving. The next morning, Aunt Melissa posted on Facebook, "Some people forget who paid their tuition." It had 100 likes in an hour. Haley commented a heart. Mom shared it. Richard stayed silent. And me? I screenshotted it. Documentation. Again. Then came the unknown number. A text at 11:23 p.m. "We're watching your plates." I stared at it for a long time. Fear mixed with disgust, then solidified into focus. I forwarded the message to myself, time-stamped it, then blocked the sender. I didn't reply. I didn't panic. I just wrote one note in my phone. Every abuser panics when access is denied. The next morning, I called Valerie Brooks. We hadn't met yet. She answered on the second ring, crisp and alert. "I thought you might call," she said. "You're Noah Carter." "Yes." "Your mother's been busy," she said. "She contacted our firm about family asset transfers." It sounded off. How off? She hesitated. "Off enough that I've already flagged your name." I exhaled. "Thank you." "You're welcome," she said. "And Noah? Whatever happens tomorrow, stand still. Let them speak first. That's how you control the story." Her advice settled in my chest like armor. Tomorrow. The wedding. One more performance. But this time, I wasn't part of the cast. The morning of the wedding arrived bright and cold, the kind of Colorado sunlight that looks clean but cuts sharp. My suit hung by the door. My phone buzzed nonstop. "Mom? Haley? Dad?" Unknown numbers. I turned it face down and finished tying my tie. When I finally answered, it was Haley. Her voice was high, brittle. "You're still coming, right?" I said I would. "Bring both key fobs," she added, too casually. "Why?" "In case one gets lost." "I'm not losing anything today," I said, then hung up. I parked 2 blocks from the hotel ballroom, in a corner spot under a tree. The car gleamed like it knew it was about to be tested again. Inside, the air smelled like roses and champagne. The DJ was running sound checks. Guests drifted in like waves of perfume and sequins. I kept to the back, glass of water in hand. The toast card folded in my pocket. Mom spotted me across the room. Her smile froze, then thawed into the kind she used for press photos. She came over, leaned in, whispered, "Thank God you came. Let's just keep things smooth, okay?" "I'm not the problem," I said. Her jaw flexed, but she patted my arm anyway, like smoothing over a wrinkle she couldn't iron out. The ceremony passed like a play I wasn't cast in. Vows, applause, the rustle of dresses. But during dinner, I saw it. My car parked right outside the tall glass doors, headlights reflecting the chandelier. Someone had moved it closer. For the photos. My heartbeat slowed, not sped up, the kind of stillness that comes before an earthquake. I didn't eat. I waited. When Mom finally grabbed the mic, it felt almost gentle at first. She tapped it twice, smiled, and looked straight at me. "Everyone," she began. "Tonight is about love, generosity, and family. And no one embodies that more than my son." Laughter. Polite clapping. She tilted her head, basking in it. "That's why Noah has a special surprise for his sister." I felt my stomach hollow out. He's gifting her his luxury car as a wedding present. Applause. Flashbulbs. Gasps. Haley's eyes widened like she was shocked, but her smile betrayed rehearsal. Dad lifted his glass. "And me?" I stayed still. "Calm is a weapon if you choose it." Then, from the back of the room, a woman stood. Slate gray suit. Steady eyes. Valerie Brooks. Her voice carried without effort. "Touch his assets again," she said, tone flat, precise, "and you'll lose yours." The room snapped silent. Even the DJ froze, hand hovering over the fader. Mom's face twitched. She laughed brittle, too loud. "Oh, you must be mistaken," she said into the mic. "It's all in fun." I stood. That was enough. I walked toward the stage, every step echoing against the marble floor. People turned in their chairs. Cameras followed. Haley's smile wilted. Mom tried to hand me the mic like a baton, but I didn't take it. I took my time, breathed once, then said clearly, "That's not true." The sound rippled through the hall. Mom blinked. "Sweetheart, don't make this awkward," she said, still smiling. I finally took the mic from her hand. My voice stayed even. I love my sister, I said, but I didn't agree to give her my car, or anyone else's version of my money, my time, or my name. Nervous laughter fluttered, then died. Haley whispered, "Why are you doing this?" I turned to her. "Because you promised something that doesn't belong to you." I faced the crowd again. Over the past month, my personal information has been used to submit insurance changes, payment authorizations, and false signatures. I've blocked everyone. Gasps. Mom tried to interject, but I raised a hand not loud. Just final. "No. You've spoken enough for me." Mason stood from the table. "I didn't ask for his car," he said, voice firm. Valerie nodded from the back, satisfied. Mom's face crumbled, then hardened. She hissed, "You're humiliating your family." I said, "You did that when you treated me like property." I turned back to the guests. "I wish Haley and Mason a marriage full of yeses you both agree to. But tonight, my answer is no." I handed the mic to the DJ, walked back to my seat, didn't leave, didn't hide. I ate a slice of dry wedding cake and watched the room rearrange its idea of me. That night my phone lit up nonstop. Texts from relatives, aunts, cousins. "How could you? Your poor mother. You made it public." But I'd already decided, if they wanted public, they could live with public consequences. The next morning, Mom called 32 times. Dad twice. Then an unknown number. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages came like chapters of manipulation, guilt, anger, bargaining, denial. "You ruined her day." This was symbolic. "We never said you'd give the car." "The family is disappointed." And finally, "If you love your sister, you'll fix this." I brewed coffee, opened my laptop, created a new folder titled Aftermath, dragged every screenshot, voicemail, and photo into it. Then I called Valerie. Her first words, "Told you to stand still." I laughed for the first time in days. "You did." That afternoon, we met in her office downtown. Cold walls, stainless desk, calm energy. She skimmed the evidence, nodded. "They blurred lines for years," she said, "but now it's documented. That changes everything." She drafted a letter, cease and desist, unauthorized use of personal and financial information, legal action if continued. Copies went to my parents, Haley, the insurance company, and even the wedding planner. By evening, the group chat was dead. No apologies, just silence. But it was the best silence I'd ever heard. When I left her office, the Denver sky had gone soft pink. For the first time in years, I breathed without bracing. They thought boundaries were cruelty. They were about to learn they were law. The ballroom had emptied hours ago, but the echo of applause still clung to the air like static. I stood near the glass doors, looking out at my car, my coupe parked exactly where they tried to claim it. The ribbons still hung limp from the side mirrors, fluttering in the wind like surrender flags. Haley was crying somewhere behind me. Mom had locked herself in the bridal suite with two aunts. Dad sat alone at a table, phone in hand, pretending to scroll. Valerie lingered near the exit, arms crossed, eyes steady. "You handled that better than most lawyers would have," she said. I smiled faintly. "Years of therapy. Your own or others?" "Both." Then I walked toward my parents' table. My shoes clicked against the marble, each sound cutting through the muted music that still played on loop. Dad didn't look up until I stopped beside him. He started the conversation with a sigh. "You didn't have to make a scene." "I didn't." "You did. You just never noticed until someone watched." His fingers tightened around the phone. "You embarrassed your mother. She embarrassed herself." He looked at me for the first time, tired eyes flickering. "You've always thought you were better than us." "No," I said. "I just finally stopped pretending I wasn't different." Mom appeared then, face pale beneath her makeup. Her lipstick had cracked. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're proud of this, aren't you?" she said, voice trembling with rage. "I'm proud I stopped lying," I said. "To who?" she snapped. "Yourself or everyone else?" I took a slow breath. "Both." She laughed sharp, brittle. "You think anyone here will side with you after tonight? They'll remember the son who humiliated his family. I think they'll remember the woman who forged her son's signature," I said quietly. Her mouth fell open. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Watch your tone," she hissed. "No, Mom," I said. "You watch your limits." For a moment, the music stopped entirely. Even the staff froze. Haley's sobs went thin and silent. Mom's voice dropped low. You're threatening me now? I'm setting a boundary. The difference is, one comes with consequences. She took a step closer, finger pointed like a blade. You ungrateful. Stop. The word landed heavy. I didn't raise my voice. She did. Everything you have. We gave you. No, I said. You gave me life. The rest, I earned and you tried to sign it away. Her eyes flashed, and for a second, I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. It wasn't fear of me. It was fear of exposure. Valerie stepped closer but stayed silent, letting me handle it. I turned slightly, lowering my tone so only Mom and Dad could hear. Do you know what happens if I press charges for forged authorization? The insurance claim alone is a felony. Mom's face drained of color. You wouldn't, she whispered. I would, I said. And I'll have witnesses, digital records, and an attorney already briefed. Dad looked between us like he'd wandered into the wrong movie. Let's calm down, he said, voice trembling. I turned to him. Calm is what got us here. Mom's eyes darted toward the guests still lingering by the bar. Watching. She adjusted her tone. You're doing this in front of people? You announced theft in front of people, I said. I'm just clarifying ownership. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, chest rising and falling too fast. Mascara smudged into bruised crescents under her eyes. The woman who'd always controlled every story had finally run out of script. Haley stepped forward then, voice shaking. Mom, stop. Linda blinked, like she couldn't process it. Haley wiped her face. He's right. You went too far. Mom's head snapped toward her. Not you too. Haley shook her head. You forged his name. I saw the forms. You told me, he agreed. The room stilled again. Every whisper, every camera phone, turned toward us. I hadn't expected her to say it. I looked at Haley, mascara streaked, dress wrinkled, trembling, and for the first time, I saw the frightened little sister behind the entitled mask. Haley, I said softly, I don't hate you. She swallowed hard. You should. I don't, I said, but I won't save you again. She nodded, eyes shining. I know. Mom's face collapsed, fury, disbelief, humiliation colliding in real time. You think this ends here? She said, almost whispering. You'll regret crossing me. Maybe, I said, but I'll regret staying silent more. I turned away, walked toward the doors. Valerie met me halfway, her heels clicking in sync with mine. That was surgical, she said quietly. Was it enough? Instant of there, why? For now, she said, but document everything from tonight. I already did. Outside, the night air felt raw and electric. The cold hit my lungs like clarity. The car sat under the lights, still wearing that stupid ribbon. I pulled it off gently, tossed it on the passenger seat, and slid behind the wheel. Through the windshield, I could see them inside silhouettes frozen in a family portrait that finally cracked. Haley sat alone, shoulders shaking. Dad rubbing his forehead. Mom standing in the center, staring at nothing. I started the engine. The hum filled the silence like a heartbeat. For years, I'd driven through guilt like fog, slowly, carefully, pretending visibility meant safety. But that night, I finally pressed the gas. As I pulled out of the lot, Valerie's words replayed in my mind. Let them speak first, that's how you control the story. They'd spoken, loudly. Now it was my turn to live in the quiet truth that followed. The road was empty. Denver lights blurred past the windows. In the rearview mirror, I watched the ballroom shrink until it was just a shimmer of gold and noise behind me. When I reached my apartment garage, I parked, engine idling. My hands were steady. No shaking, no guilt. I locked the doors, checked twice, and whispered to myself, mine. Outside, the first flakes of snow began to fall, soft, relentless, cleansing. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I owed anyone warmth. The morning after the wedding felt eerily quiet. No music, no perfume, no pretending. Just sunlight spilling across my kitchen table and a phone vibrating itself toward the edge. 29 missed calls. 14 new voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. I made coffee, black and bitter, and opened my laptop. A new email from Valerie waited in my inbox. Draft attached. The subject line, cease and desist. Carter family. I read it once, twice, then hit send. The message went to my mother, father, sister, the insurance company, and the wedding planner. It was clean, professional, ruthless. No emotion, no plea, just boundaries written in legal language. Within an hour, the phone started again. Mom's text swung between begging and threats. "You're overreacting. We'll fix this privately. You don't have to ruin the family name." I typed one reply. "You did that yourself." Then hit block. By noon, Valerie called. "Your file's flagged at every agency," she said. "No one can touch your car, bank accounts, or insurance without you there in person." I exhaled. "So it's done." She paused. "Legally, yes, but emotionally, that'll take time. I can live with that," I said. That evening, I walked down to the garage. The coupe gleamed under the fluorescent light, freshly washed by the attendant. A faint smudge on the driver's window caught my eye, a handprint, small and curved. Haley's, maybe, or Mom's. I wiped it away with my sleeve until the glass showed nothing but my reflection. For years, they'd mistaken my calm for weakness, my silence for permission. But boundaries aren't built from anger. They're built from evidence and follow-through. They tried to rewrite my story in public. I answered in ink they couldn't erase. They thought they'd taken my car. All they really did was give me the one weapon they never expected. Proof. If you've ever been the quiet one, the fixer, the stable one, the one everyone leans on until you break, you know what this feels like. Saying no isn't betrayal. It's recovery. I kept my car, my peace, my name. I lost the illusion of family, but I found freedom inside the silence they left behind. So, if you've ever felt like the outsider in your own home, remember, calm doesn't mean weak, it means done. Subscribe, because this story isn't over. And neither are the people learning what my no really means.